Hello and welcome back to PremoDonnas. My name is Emperiam,
And I'm Mishka.
and I cannot believe I am saying this, but today's episode is an interview with Simple Plan at All Your Friends Fest.
It's so amazing, simple plan. What? What is even in this life?
It was really cool to stand up with Jeff and Chuck and talk about why they think pop punk and emo has made a huge resurgence and about their new documentary, The Kids in the Crowd, coming out July 8th on Amazon Prime. Without further ado, let's just get into it. Welcome to my life. I am Emperium and I am here with Simple Plan. We have Chuck and we have Jeff.
What's up?
I'm excited to be
Thanks for having
here.
us.
I have some questions for you. Do you ever feel like breaking down?
Very often, actually. Right now, at the end of a tour, 7-week tour,
Mm.
I'm feeling like breaking down. Yes, I need my bed.
I imagine. Do you ever feel out of place?
I do. Yes. Yes.
Tell me more, Chuck.
The songs are give me songs coming from our lives. So yes, when do I feel out of place? I mean, like when I look at you guys, like all the crazy good outfits, I'm like, yeah, wait,
Yeah, our fashion.
We could
It's quite comfortable.
like we're not like we haven't stepped up enough to be here right now.
That's okay. I can let you borrow my fishnets or my platforms, whatever you feel most comfortable in.
I would go.
I wore fishnets once for Halloween.
Did you? As what?
It was like sort of a Bowie-ish tribute,
Okay.
but it was brutal. I don't know how you do it. Like
What kind of fishnets did you have?
a normal kind? I don't know.
That's a fun fact about Jeff, everyone. You guys have been a band for 25 years, which is older than some of the festival attendees.
That's almost a century.
It's a little, well, it's a quarter of a century, I'll give you that. But looking back, how conscious were you guys that you were a part of this movement or a pop punk era? And when did it first hit you that you were becoming a legacy band?
I think from the moment we formed this band, and even like our previous bands, like we knew we wanted to be kind of like a Warped Tour band. We wanted to be like a pop punk band. It was important for us. It really shaped our identity as musicians and as songwriters. Like these were the bands that we love. We grew up with Bad Religion and NoFX and Blink and all that. So they really had a profound influence. So right off the bat, I think we wanted to belong in that scene. And,
After playing Warped Tour 18 times, I feel that we really felt that we were part of this scene somehow.
I don't know. Rounded out to 20, maybe.
you know what, Jeff? I was gonna say like when we did the last, what was supposed to be the final Bands Warped Tour in 2018, the last run, we did the whole thing, and it felt like okay, we've done this festival so much, and we're asked to come back and do the last edition of it, and I don't know, it felt like we had kind of achieved some kind of like status in the scene where we deserve to be there and
felt like the lawn.
yeah.
At that point.
Absolutely. You paved the way and have been a pioneer for any bands after you. What's something about the early 2000s scene that people romanticize but really wasn't that cool?
That's interesting. The boy bands of the early 2000s, they were just not that great, were they?
Jeff throwing shade to boy bands. Are you going to drop names?
No, I would never do that. Some of the outfits were questionable, obviously. Chuck really wants to bring back the big dickies.
Yeah, I had but I still like that look. So that
You do it?
sick dickies. But you said like parts of the pop punk scene that were kind of like not that punk.
No, the 2000s.
Pop scene. Yeah, I'll take either.
You know what? Oh, controversial. The TV sitcoms, 2000 like early 2000 sitcom. No, not that great when you look back.
Not a hot take because I feel like
Seinfeld, I love. I was gonna say
Yeah.
Friends,
But
Friends, Seinfeld. Friends is what?
Was it that good?
What's wrong with this guy? Kick him, please.
kick him out of the band once again.
Just saying,
I do not endorse anything he just said.
We're going to take that soundbite and you're going to make just a terrible image out of you. When newer artists cite Simple Plan as their influence, do you feel any sort of responsibility or pressure to carry the genre forward?
I mean, it's something that I'm really proud of. It's something that, I feel great about because I remember being a kid myself and listening to bands and being like influenced by them. And after seeing them, like, what you want to be is a good person to that artist. You want to be kind. You want to be grateful. Um, I think the responsibility that we feel is to keep making good music and stay relevant because we just don't want to be, just a nostalgia band. We want to be a band that also produces music, is artistic, expresses itself. So that's more the responsibility that I feel as a musician. And I think it's important to be kind to the people that come to you and tell you, like that they love your music, they've been inspired by what you've been doing. So
Yeah, we're trying to be like the opposite of like don't meet your heroes kind of thing. Like, like if our band was important to you, whether you're in a band or just a fan, we wanted to like whatever like little moment that we have together, we want it to be like, oh man, like it's everything I was hoping for, or it's even better. Like they took the time, they care because we do, and we want to make sure that people realize that and feel that when they meet us. So I think that's really important. And I would say that the cool thing about the new bands that are coming up and when they say they were influenced is like in a way they're influencing us as well. We listen to them and it was like, oh, that's so cool how they're reinterpreting like what we've done and they're putting their own spin on it. And that spin, we listen to it and we're like, oh, that's interesting. And that's inspiring us to, maybe look at how we write songs and how we play differently. So it's kind of like a full circle thing where we influence them and now they're influencing us, because they're kind of reinventing what the scene is, right? So
Kind of feeding back into
yeah,
yourself.
so it's like a feedback circle.
yeah, it's progressing at the same time because, every time someone tries to push the boundaries, it pushes us forward. Yeah.
Mhm. What do you think is the reason or the cause for this pop punk emo resurgence recently?
Emo night.
Emo night, yeah. Big part of it.
I think it has to do. I think
MCK,
I support that decision. I think that too. When he released Tickets to My Downfall, I was like, oh, we are so back.
and I think people just they want to hear those melodies again. It's about the songs. It's not so much about necessarily the scene. It's about reliving, for a lot of people, it's reliving those moments that they have lived, in their teenage years. So that's obviously feeding the scene. And for the newcomers, I think it's they're listening to the bands that MGKs were important. What did MGK listen to? What Olivia Rodrigo listened to? What? And they go back and they check out Simple Plan. They'll check out Bling. They'll check out Green Day. So I think that's part of it.
Yeah, and I wasn't joking about the fact that I think that these emo nights party everywhere, that kind of mushroom everywhere, like that was probably 10 years ago now. And I think that at the time, the pop punk culture wasn't very popular or wasn't doing well. It was kind of like this underground thing and lots of bands had taken hiatus and all that. But this really kept the culture alive. I think it really kind of became like a thing where people were like rediscovering the music and people had a place to meet. Like, oh, I'm not the only one who, and I think it was taking the music seriously. You know what I mean? As opposed to just like being the butt of like, oh, pop punk, that's done or whatever. That was so lame.
Well, it also exposed it to a younger crowd. And I think that's important to see. If you want this scene to keep growing, stay alive, like you need newcomers,
Yeah, and I think it showed that there was a lot of people that music has meant a lot to them. And it kind of brought them together. And it kind of like, it was the kickstart to all this music coming back at the forefront. So yeah, I think we owe you guys a lot.
When it comes to making new music, are you guys just wanting to make old fans happy or wanting to kind of evolve sonically?
I think it's important for us to be playing new music, and to try new things. And it's also for the fans, like the thing about music is that you have to have an audience or else like you're just a bedroom musician, So the audience is important, but it has to be a selfish thing first. You do it for yourself. You do it because you want to challenge yourself. You want to express certain things, and then you bring it to the audience.
I think we're lucky because truly, there's some bands and musicians or songwriters, as the years go by, they evolve and they really kind of don't like what they started with. Like they really are somewhere else artistically, musically. Truthfully, for me, like still today, my favorite bands are the bands that I grew up loving, and that's still what. Like when I'm going through a tough time, or if I want something to be like, I want to go running and I want like a motivating song, or if I'm just feeling pissed off, I turn to these bands, and that's still what that connects with me. So making that music or making like a new variation of what Simple Plan is, it's not like, oh my God, here we go, we have to make a record for the fans, but we hate this. It's quite the opposite. We're making records for us. And I think we're still, with every album, we're trying to perfect, like, we've always tried to make a record that if it wasn't us, this would be our favorite band. and we're still trying to perfect that album. Like that, what's the ultimate song that we can write? Like what would be our favorite song we could listen to as fans? We're still trying to write it with every record. So it's like a painter. Like every art that you make, like you can get a little better next time. So it's like that's how we approach songs.
So TikTok has made I'm Just a Kid kind of a viral moment again. How did it feel to get that song revisited a couple decades later?
Oh man, that was the craziest, coolest thing that ever happened to us. And one of the best part about it is that it wasn't something that we planned. It wasn't something that it wasn't orchestrated. It just happened organically during the pandemic. People were home. They started to recreate these photos. And I think that the challenge really connected because when you dig a little deeper, it's about life. It's about years passing by. It's about like people passing away, friendship maybe not surviving or surviving for 20 years,
And it came at a shitty time for us because, it was around the pandemic. We were not necessarily, we couldn't play. So it was like having a number one hit song out of nowhere 25 years later, well, whatever, 20 years later. It was pretty incredible. I thought and it's just beautiful. Like Chuck said, like you're seeing people relive those moments and kind of, being nostalgic about it all over your song. You're the soundtrack to people's life.
Yeah, there's something deeper going on with that trend. It's not like it's not just like you're literally seeing your life pass by, right? You're kind of seeing and how much you changed, how much you didn't change, and I think it's really powerful. That's why I think it caught on so much, and now that like when we play that song at festivals and places that maybe it's not like a headline set, we notice that when that line comes in, like right at the pre-chorus, when it kicks into the chorus, everybody starts singing louder because that's when the challenge starts.
Yeah.
It's insane, like, and we feel that energy, and it's like, it has become one of our favorite songs to perform live.
Have you ever considered doing like a reinterpretation of that song, but in like an adult perspective? Because it feels weird being like, I'm just a kid. I'm like 31 years old.
Imagine when you're 46.
Hopefully I'll make it that far.
We've seen a lot of them on TikTok and on social media. Like I have to pay my taxes, and I have to go buy diapers for my kid and all
Like
that.
a doctor's appointment. Very scary.
I think it might ruin the magic if we did. But we did do the shirt where it says adult instead of I'm just a kid, so
True.
people can get that. It's been a hot item.
Yeah. You guys are doing something very exciting. You're releasing a documentary on Amazon Prime, July 8th, The Kids in the Crowd. What were some moments that were really cool to look back on that maybe didn't seem so cool when you lived them?
Oh, that's interesting. I can't think of anything right now. What I do remember while watching it was how fast paced, the early days of our career was. It was just so fast. It felt like a tornado. We got caught in a really big machine and it became really big. And I just don't remember a lot of it. It was so fast.
There's two things that pop in my mind kind of spontaneously about what was really tough back then. I'm happy it happened. And when I look back, I'm like, oh, it was important. Is that we got a lot of hate when this band came out, about being too pop for punk and all that and being like more of a poppy band. And we got bottles thrown at us and people would yell us all these weird
Stitches.
She got a 9 stitch right here. I got a ball right in the face, so, and we get all these message boards and people, I remember like reading like choke on broken glass. You guys are awful. And it was really tough. But I think I look back and I'm happy it happened because it made us so much more resilient as a band. It made us want to prove everyone wrong, and it put a chip on our shoulders, and it made us play harder on stage and made us want to play faster and prove to them that we belong on that stage and that we deserve to be there. And we had paid our dues because Simple Plan wasn't the first band that we had done. We had done we were in a punk rock band for 6 years before that, and stuff that you see in the movie. And I think it just made us want to double down and prove our point, So that was really good for this band. I think in a way it was tough because it kind of traumatizes you a little bit, but at the same time, I think it made us a better band. So that was good. And that's the big one for me.
How did you decide which personal and behind the scenes moments to share and which ones to leave out?
It's interesting because we spoke about it a lot, actually. There were like different versions of the documentary. And I think at some point we decided, like, let's be honest and show, as much as we can, and obviously we have the archives, from which is pretty much the coolest part, I think, of the documentary, the volume of archives that we've had. Like we didn't realize that it would be so important as we were filming it, but it became like sort of like this is our story, right? It kind of told a story. I was happy to introduce my kids, and sort of show that it's important for me to still be doing it and not be a has been towards them.
Right.
It's really important to me. It's probably the single biggest driving force for what I do right now. I'm like, I want to make him proud. I want him to look at this thing that Simple Plan is and sort of, yeah, just be proud of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard to narrow down 25 years
Yeah.
of your life in an hour and 34 minutes. Like it was
Hit
the
him.
biggest challenge. And what do you pick? What do you not pick? And there was so much stuff that is on the cutting room floor that I'm like, it was so hard to not include. But yeah, I think that we were trying to the best of the best way that we could to tell our story and make something that would be inspiring for people. Hopefully, if you're chasing a dream, whether it's music, being in a band or an artist or anything else, like I think if you watch this movie, you kind of feel like it makes you want to keep going and keep like not give up and like it can because we're not speak for myself, but not the most talented musician, but I wanted it so bad that there was nothing that was going to stop me. And I think that's the story you see in the documentary, and hopefully it inspires some people.
In the trailer, Chuck, you actually get kicked out of the band at one point. I don't know if it's a spoiler or not, but can you tell us how you were able to get through tough moments like that?
Yeah, I mean it's really tough to be in a band with people you grew up with, like you're in a way your best friends, but also you're very like we started our first band, Karen and I, we were 13, 14 years old. And you're not matured yet and a lot of stuff happens and you don't understand you don't understand how to communicate properly and all that. So I think that was a big challenge that we had as a band, and I think the band could have blown up really often, like many, many times. And because we had learned from our previous mistakes of like these early fights of like, kicking each other out, like, screw that, I'm leaving, I quit, whatever. Like we all did it. Like everybody in the band, Jeff, we had to,
Multiple times yearly. But you know what?
we had to come get him, like literally like at the train set, okay, Jeff, come
To
back.
come get you too, because you were really hurt by being thrown out of Reset. And when it came to Chuck, and I'm like, listen, I want to start a new band. That Chuck was like, yeah, no, I'm over this music thing. I had to convince him. It took time, and then like, yeah, it's just it was. I think you were really, really resilient, but it took time, and it took friendship. It took the support system that we do amongst ourselves, that we're there for one another. I think it's really important.
Yeah, I think we learned a lot as being in a band. Like it's a school of life. It teaches like there's no manual to do it properly, and it's really easy to, to throw away. Like so many bands have done it. They are on top of the world, and then they screw it all up. And I think that the one thing for us that we realize as we get older and as this band stays around long, like it's been 25 years now, is that how precious it is and how much we want to be careful with it. We want to be like, it's fragile and you have to really take care of it every single day. Like it's on a daily basis. You have to like make sure you protect it and you take care of it. And that's what we do now. A lot better than we did back in the day.
Speaking about taking care of things, you mentioned your children. Are they fans or are they like, ugh, not dad's music again?
They're not fan of me as a dad. They're like, Dad, you're so annoying. You keep on repeating the same things over and over. I'm like, that's my job. Yeah, they're fans of the music, and I'm really proud of that. They don't listen to Simple Plan, all day long. That would be weird.
I wouldn't judge you for it if you for.
But they love the scene. Like my oldest daughter's a skater, and she has like all those posters of it's kind of cool. Green Day, The Offspring, with Nirvana, in her room.
Where you're like, I know all those guys. I toured with them.
I could call Dexter a friend. But yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, you want your kids, your family to embark with you on that journey. You want them to be part of the this whole thing, and they come to the shows. They're very proud. They're the songs, and yeah, it makes me very, very happy. But yeah, it doesn't always pan out that way. Like I've got friends that are in bands that are like, yeah, my kids hate my music, and that would suck.
Yeah.
My son is still in the honeymoon Simple Plan phase where it's his favorite band, and when we're in the car, that's all he wants to listen to. So I'm always, even when I'm off tour, I'm always like,
Savor that. It's not gonna last forever.
right. Oh, but it keeps me really fresh. Like when I come back on tour, I know all the songs. I've been listening to them the whole time. And one of the coolest thing that this whole like having a family has brought and this band is that now we get to travel together and we get to kind of use the band's tours to do really cool like family trips. And so, you know, they came with me to Japan, they came with me to Australia. We're gonna go to Europe next, like, you know, this fall. And it's like all these really cool moments that if I wasn't in this band, it wouldn't be happening. So we get to experience that. And he loves being a roadie, loves being on stage, loves being on tour. So it's really cool.
Do you guys have any pre-show or post-show rituals that have stuck over the years?
The only one that
Yeah, that's it.
so that's the one. Bam.
And that's all we do before the show with everybody.
Simple, concise.
Yeah.
There's no, but they like, you know, there's no prayer, there's no huddles, yelling.
No, I'm surprised by that one.
It's just very subtle and it's just, but we never get on stage without doing it. So that's it.
We all warm up. We make sure that we're ready for the show. There's nothing really, really crazy. And yeah, and after the show, I think there's always a moment where we get together. We kind of talk about the show. It used to be like, oh, you made a mistake on that part. And it's not about, I mean, we really used to do that. It was horrible. Now it's more about like, you know, what the show was, how you felt it. And then we move on and we sort of like relax. So yeah, I wouldn't call it a ritual per se, but yeah,
It's true. We always get in the same room. Like we don't like, you know, there's some bands that they have their cars ready, like then they fly after the show. Like we always go to our dressing room, we drop our ears and we kind of talk about what happened and we go over it. Oh, it was great. Like, you know, great show tonight. It's really quick sometimes it's a bit longer, but in general, it's like there's always a bit of a postmortem from the show, how it went. Yeah.
Has anyone ever not fist bumped because they're like, that was a terrible show, I'm not fist bumping you?
I'm actually superstitious about it. I will not go on stage without doing it.
Oh, yeah,
It's kind of a ritual.
I know it is. Like we literally we won't go on stage if we don't do it.
And we're French Canadians, so if you don't look at each other's eyes as you're doing it, it's 7 years up. That's not like that. We're not doing that. You hear about that, French Canadians, where they cheers if you don't look at each other in the eyes. People are like, that's 7 years of bad sex.
I did not. That explains a lot of my life, I guess. I'm going to just double check my notes.
7 years is a very long time.
Well, it happens. It happens. All right, guys, thank you so much for talking to me. Really appreciate it. I can't wait to see your set today.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Of course. Oh.
Hey, you're part of the gang now. You know? Hey.
Sorry. 7 years.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. My gosh. I am. Oh. My heart, my brain, my eyes, everything. I'm dying.
See,
That.
this is why I do the interviewing and you do the other
Yes.
parts.
Yes. 100%. I have no chill whatsoever. I would be totally freaking out. So like, props to you because, I mean, I'm not surprised, but like you were just like calm, cool, collected. It was great.
Yeah, I don't really get starstruck. I am inspired, and it was really cool to actually get to meet them, and their banter was really nice. It's always hard to gauge initially for an interview if the person is gonna like be receptive to some of the things because you know me, I like to add my little jokes, add my little whimsy. So when I opened the interview with the lyrics to Welcome to My Life, I was like, okay,
Yes.
they're either gonna find this really funny or they're gonna fucking hate it, and then it's gonna like ruin the tone of this interview. But as soon as he started saying like, "Oh, do you ever feel like breaking down?" and then he went into it, I was like, okay, no, he's fine. And then it, just went from there. Also, shout out to Gina for that idea. At Pierce by Gina, love her. Piercing
Thanks,
needs,
Gina.
if you have them, go to Gold Hollow. But yeah, so that was that.
They were both very personable. Like you could tell that they've been around the block and like done an interview once or twice at least, kind of a thing. Like they seemed very comfortable.
Well, yeah, I mean, they've been, I think, a band for 25 years, but Chuck and Pierre have been playing together in multiple bands for like 31 years. So this brotherhood has been my entire life, which is absolutely wild to think about, but true.
Yeah, I don't even know. And you did such a good job. Like, not to toot your horn or anything, but like you did a
Toot it. No,
fucking
toot it
good
away. Thank
job.
you.
You're
Thank you.
these artists out here always being impressed when you like ask a deep cut question. And it's almost as if traditional media plays it safe every single time because they were like legitimately interested in what you were asking them.
Yeah. Well, and I wasn't expecting the answer of like why they think that the resurgence has happened is because of emo nights. Because that's kind of how I felt about emo nights before it caught, fire and everybody was kind of doing it. But it really does just harbor this community. And I think that's one thing that it has above like the 80s nights. Cause you know how they always compare emo night as like the 80s nights for millennials. But there's just I don't know,
Honestly true.
there's such a different like subject matter of the songs because they're so raw and emotional.
Exactly. Oh, so fun. I can't wait. You now there's like more coming, right?
Yeah, so if you liked this interview, I do have more coming. I have one with Under Oath and Winona Fighter. So those will be the next two, hopefully, episodes ready for the podcast. And if you are in a band and you want to be interviewed or on the show, also let us know because I now have stable internet with my Ethernet connection. Very excited to not have technical difficulties anymore. So props to us for getting that
Yes.
done. But
That
yeah,
was an
if you're a
ordeal and a
listener
half.
of this, huh?
I said that was an ordeal and a half.
It was an ordeal and a half. Yeah.
But yeah, no, if you're in a band and you want to be interviewed and you want to come just chat with us, both together or separate or whatever, I don't even care. Shoot us an email, PremoDonnas@gmail.com.
Yeah, and do us a favor too if you do like these episodes, give us a rating, follow us on social media. We have an Instagram, we have a TikTok, and we do have a YouTube where you can see our beautiful faces should you wish. In HD, I will add.
HD.
HD, baby. All right, well, until the next episode, see you later. Bye.